Welcome back to Doncaster for the 2017 Minibike World Championship, protected by Bell helmets. Our coverage continues with a special focus on the 160cc Support category, the second division of the 160cc class, decided based on performance in qualifying. Riders from 5 different nationalities were included among the field of 37 riders, like their pro counterparts, lining up for a total of 5 motos. And as you might expect among less experienced riders, the results were highly unpredictable. In fact, the top 2 riders at the end of the opening day dropped out of contention in the 2 final motos, leaving the fight for the top positions in the group up in the air. Stunning aerial images from 2 fast films capture the run down to the first turn, a perfect way to kick off our selection of the best images of the weekend from among the 160cc Support. Sean Mason proving himself the Puterline whole shot king throughout the weekend, although drop points in the second moto dropped him back out of contention despite the 3 top 3 finishes he notched in 5 rides. Daniel Lee and Connor Ward proved the early favourites, sharing the day 1 victories between them. Lee managing 3 wins in 5 races and a runner-up position in the second moto. Ward took that one, and the scores were all tied at the top after 2 races. Battles throughout the field became more critical in the 160cc Support than perhaps in other classes. For example, the eventual top 2 in the category actually finished just 5th and 6th in the opening race. And with a gap of 13 seconds between the top 2 in the first duel between Lee and Ward, tensions turned to the rest of the top 10. 8 riders eventually covered by 30 seconds. Matthew Cole remained in 4th position for the entire race duration first time out. His best result of the weekend, Bryce Howard and Simon Gummer coming through the field behind him for 5th and 6th. Gummer was then best of the rest in the second race behind leaders Ward and Lee. This time the lead duo separated by less than 2 seconds over the line. Gummer's separate battle further back down the field saw him hold off Bryce Howard, and a pack behind Steve Ledger that came home in the top 8. Gummer eventually finished 2nd overall thanks to his consistency. His race 2 result of 3rd repeated on 2 further occasions in the remainder of the event. There was no stopping Ward or Lee on the opening day though. Their finishing positions in the second race, a reverse of the first, but that mattered little in the end as both were ruled out of contention with non-scoring 4th races. Bryce Howard there in the thick of the action, having sat 11th on the opening lap, working his way through the field and around the outside of the fast-starting Philippe Adair. Howard went on to victory in the 4th moto, where the pendulum swung in his favour, and he eventually topped the standings by just a single point over Simon Gummer. Daniel Lee won 2 of the remaining 3 races, but that was only enough for him to finish in 5th position overall, 3 points behind the top 3. It was Puterline whole shot king Sean Mason who rounded out the top 3 in the standings. He was back on form in the 3rd moto after finishing just 18th in race 2, recovering to 3rd in race 3. A challenging weekend for Sweden's Alexander Reinholdsson. He recorded a best finish of 7th in the first moto, but ended up at the back of the field in his 3rd outing and was left to perform a damage limitation ride for 14th. He finished in 10th position in the standings overall. Back with eventual class winner Bryce Howard, who actually suffered his worst result of the day in the 3rd moto, here challenging Leon Adams for 4th, but he eventually dropped back to 6th. Craig Sharp at this stage directly behind Howard. He was kept at bay, but the recovering Simon Gummer passed the pair of them later in the race. So an impressive 3 out of 5 race victories for Daniel Lee, but the 160cc Support class turned into a contest of attrition, with the retirement of the two riders who sat at the top of the standings at the end of day one. A full look at the standings, and Connor Ward was ultimately classified 15th, Daniel Lee in 5th, and the only other race winner, Price Howard, took the MB160cc Support victory ahead of Simon Gummer and Sean Mason. No doubt the Support stars will be back in 2018, aiming to go one better and qualify for the World Championship class itself.